How to Conduct Performance Appraisals, featuring Bob Johnson. Most managers and employees dread performance appraisals. Their apprehension is unnecessary. Performance appraisals can be a positive and growth experience for the employee, the manager, and the company. For insight on how to conduct performance appraisals, we turn to Bob Johnson. Bob Johnson was born in the United States. He has spent the majority of his professional career in Australia, and he has trained thousands of managers on 5 continents. When he shares management techniques and strategies, you know he's not speaking from theory, but from experience. He's been there. Let's observe as Bob Johnson discusses how to conduct performance appraisals.
Many possible answers that you can think of to this question. The question is, in what ways can we make our performance appraisals more growth-oriented and person-centered? Would you please take 2 minutes, jot down as many answers as come to mind. All right, thank you very much. Be keen to hear, very keen to hear what you've jotted down to the question, in what ways can we make our performance appraisals even more effective and future and growth oriented? What have you come up with, someone? What's one of the things you've jotted down? Yes, sir.
Role playing.
Role play. One of the things in doing performance appraisals is that if you get people involved in role play situations, you can help teach them through a doing process. Thank you, sir. Someone else? Yes.
Emphasize growth potential.
Emphasize growth potential. Ladies and gentlemen, think about something. Most performance appraisals are history oriented. And what we need to think in terms of is, in what ways can we make performance appraisals a growth and future-oriented experience? And if you keep a focus in direction of terms of how they can grow and be better, we're well down the track in making them even more effective. Someone else, thank you for that. Another. Yes, sir.
Focus on the person's strengths.
Get focused on their strengths. Ladies and gentlemen, we build on the strengths. Often, you will have heard in management circles that one of the things that managers have to do is help people improve their weaknesses. Let's stop and talk about that for a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, there are certain things that I'm not very good at, and I'll bet there are certain things that you're not very good at. Is that a fair statement? Well, how am I going to continue to grow and make me even better than what I now am by trying to build on something I'm not good at? That doesn't compute. Get focused on the strengths that not past focused. When we focus in the future on the strategic issues in terms of how we're going to continue to grow and improve and make the job even more effective, things shift dramatically for people as well as the team, because we as a manager are maintaining our focus on the strengths of the people and how we're going to move forward to improve our performance. No matter how good the past or the history has been, if the history's been good, medium, bad, or indifferent, the key point here, and it's a shift in thinking, is that we keep our performance appraisals present, growth-oriented, and future-oriented in terms of in what ways can we make it even better. Now, people like to achieve goals more than they like to look back and wallow in their mistakes. Is that true of you? It's true of me. And as leaders, as managerial, visionary leaders, we've got to maintain focus for our people, because society has trained them quite well to wallow in mistakes rather than get future growth oriented in terms of how and in what ways can we move forward and make it even more effective. Let's take a look for just a moment at some of the items needed when a performance review session is actually conducted. One of the things that we need to carry in or have brought in is a review of the major goal of that particular position. When I say review it, if it needs to be tweaked or reworded a bit for the coming 12-month period, fine. If it is still the same major goal objective, the job, in other words, hasn't changed, then we don't have to touch it, but we should at least review it. So one item that you need in your review sessions is to plan on reviewing the current major goal of that job. B, you should have a list of monthly goal projects that person has been responsible for over the previous 12 months. And you review those in terms of where the strengths are and the wins that they've had. C, you need a list of the key result areas of that particular job for that particular person that is being reviewed. If those key result areas have changed a bit, then that needs to be discussed, and the new key result areas, the additions to the list, need to be added. It may be that some of the key result areas that were appropriate for the history of the past 12 months are no longer appropriate for moving forward, so they are eliminated and new ones are added. In addition to that, we need to look at the performance standards. Now, performance standards are nothing more than statements of conditions which will exist when the job has been performed satisfactorily. And those performance standards must be specific, measurable. In other words, they have a unit of measurement in them, and they should be, most definitely, goal-oriented or result-oriented. So you will want to review the performance standards for that job in the coming 12 months. In addition to that, you'll need a list of projections. That person that is being reviewed, you should request that they, coming into that review session, bring with them a list of projections and goals that they've set for themselves in the coming year. You and I, as managers, also need to have given some thought to what are some of the goals and objectives and projections that I would like to see this person accomplish in the coming year. And what flows on naturally right behind that list of projections is I'm going to ask that person to bring with them, in addition to their projections, a bit of an outline of the action program they are going to implement to make those goals reality. Now then, in addition, if I look backwards over the past 12 months, what special projects have I as a manager assigned this particular person? We have responsibility for our jobs, but throughout a given year, we get delegated various special projects at times. Is that true? It happens for you and I as managers, from our bosses, and we in turn make those requests of various people on our team that they take on responsibility for very special projects. It is something you should review with the person in light of what they've done well and in what ways are we going to move forward and make it even better in the future. So those are the items that you need to bring with you and have the person bring with them in coming into a review session. Now, let's look at 10 critical points for making our performance appraisals even more effective. Number one, you and I initiate it. Yes, we, the managers, initiate the session. Often, people are left out hanging for too long on our teams wondering how they're going. And the time for their annual review or their 6-monthly review, ever how we approach it, it comes and it goes and it keeps going, and people begin to wonder, how are they going? We need to organize ourselves as managers so that we initiate those performance review sessions and we initiate them on time. Step 2, when you go into that session, you go in with 2 real big ears. Yes, we go in set and ready to listen. Not just listen, but honestly hear what this person is saying. Where are they coming from? So listen and really hear. Number 3, they come in, we've got to get in step and put that person at ease. Now I know that when people walk in for their review session, they can be a little nervous about it. I wonder how this is going to go. I wonder if I'm going to get a rap on the knuckles or get my hand slapped or et cetera, et cetera. If we begin to turn our performance review sessions future-oriented and growth-oriented, after a while they know they're not going to get slapped on the hand. They're going to receive encouragement for moving forward. Number 4, let's compliment, and I'll add to this specifically, their previous good performance. You and I as managers need to have 1, 2, 3, or more specific examples that we can praise and compliment this person for in terms of their previous past performance. Keep in mind, our job as managers is to build people and make them successful, and we do that best by helping them to spotlight their strengths and their successes and grow from that. Number 5, begin with a positive. When you compliment their previous good performance, is that a beginning? Is that a positive beginning? It sure is. Keep it on a positive basis. And that leads to number 6. And number 6 is a don't rule. And it says don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got to be positive and future-oriented in dealing with the human beings in front of us. If we cannot find something good to say about the person in our review session, it is not that person that's in trouble, it's us. It's us. A famous author once said, there's something good to be said about a broken watch. It's right twice a day. There's something good to be said about everything and everybody, and it's a matter of the attitude that we have toward it. If we are looking for what's wrong, ladies and gentlemen, anybody can do that. It takes a person of courage, it takes a person of commitment, and it takes a visionary leader to look at the best in his people or her people and bring that forth and put the spotlight on it. Step number 7, you offer helpful and positive suggestions for improvement. Here's where you emphasize in what ways can we make it even better. For an example, have any of you ever had someone come up to you and say to you, you don't mind if I give you some constructive criticism, do you? And we always hate that. If, for an example, at the end of this training session, if there are things about it that you didn't enjoy and you want to come up and offer me some constructive criticism, I don't want to hear it. On the other hand, listen to the difference. On the other hand, if you come up to me and say, Bob, have you considered in doing a session trying this or trying this? See, now, rather than telling me what's wrong and criticizing me, you're making a helpful suggestion that'll help me do it better next time. You are the professional coach that is bringing out the best that I have to offer. There is no such thing as constructive criticism, but there is an awful lot to be gained from positive and helpful suggestions for improvement and making it better. Number 8, you express to the person and show them your willingness to support them in their future efforts and in their future growth. Every person, you, I, and all the members on our teams deserve and should have a mentor. A mentor. Someone who they can go to for advice and counsel. And you and I as managers can create an environment whereby we become the mentor to the people that we work with, not just in review sessions, but on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. It is a critical point to keep in mind. Point number 9 is keep it growth-oriented. Keep it future-oriented. People absolutely love to achieve goals. They love to know that they are improving and getting better. If you stop and think about how we train little puppy dogs, when they're little puppy dogs and we're trying to house train a puppy dog, you don't do it by drop kicking them, right? You do it through positive approach, through praise and through appreciation and through repetition. That's how we do it. And finally, point number 10, make a commitment to follow up and follow through. Yes, people need on a consistent basis to be reinforced. And unless we follow up and follow through and inspect what we expect and offer encouragement in a repetitious manner, people are not going to continue their future-oriented growth. Now, you would agree that up until now, we've taken a very positive approach to this business of conducting more effective performance appraisals. What about the tough part? What about the part when you have to deal in a performance review with someone who has turned in a very poor performance, a performance that is not acceptable? That's the tough part, but we've got to do it. It's a part of the management job. So let's look at some principles then in dealing with that poor performer. First, tell it like it is. Do not kind of waltz around the issue, get to the point, and tell it like it is. You need to take a direct and firm approach here. Secondly, you criticize the performance, not the performer. You keep the negative on the actual performance and the fact that it was not acceptable and why, and that way we're not picking at the human being but the performance of the person. Next, you must give an ultimatum for improvement with a specific and definable timetable. You've got to directly, kindly, but directly say to this person that over the next X amount of weeks or days, whatever's appropriate, that the performance of that individual must reach not less than a certain standard that then must be agreed to. And having done that, you're then ready to take the next step. This interview must be documented, not only for yourself, a copy for the person that has been in this review, and that person needs to know and understand that a copy of that review has gone in their file. Ladies and gentlemen, dealing with the poor performer is never easy. And sometimes performance doesn't improve, and we have to remove that person from our team. Our job is to build people and make them successful. But ladies and gentlemen, no one understands something. I have yet to meet a manager or an executive who can win them all. And I'll bet you haven't either. It's always painful to lose one that we've worked hard to help make it, and they don't. But we're not being fair to ourselves and the other members of the team if we don't take the tough decision and remove them from the team and let them go elsewhere. So in summary, we've looked at the items we need to bring into that performance review session. We've talked about the how-to principles. In fact, we covered 10 of them that we initiate that review session. That 2, we go in with big ears and listen. 3, we get in step and in tune. 4, we compliment specifically their previous good performance. 5, we keep it on a positive note. We begin it positively and keep it that way. 6, we don't criticize, condemn, or complain. 7, we make helpful suggestions for improvement. 8, we express our willingness to support. 9, we keep it growth and future-oriented. And number 10, we commit to a follow-up and follow-through plan. How do you deal with a poor performer? You tell it like it is. You criticize the performance, not the performer. You give an ultimatum with timetable for improvement, and you must document that discussion and make sure the appropriate people have been copied. Know that when you and I, as managerial leaders, positively reinforce the good in people, all they want to do is give us more good so they can get more of that positive reinforcement. It is through our commitment to look for and find the good in people and keep the focus on where we are and where we're going that makes performance appraisals positive and far more effective.